shaping the future of Long Branch, making it easier to get around Tacoma Langley, and a green building in the East County. All that and the latest news coming up next on Montgomery Plans. Thanks for watching Montgomery Plans. I'm Michael Brown. We're here to bring you up to date on important land use issues facing those who live and work in Montgomery County. Today's show looks at how existing assets can shape and strengthen a plan for Long Branch. Next, we'll discover ways to improve mobility in Tacoma Langley Crossroads. And finally, we'll explore a whole building approach to going green. But first, let's go to the top news-making decisions of the Montgomery County Planning Board.
Welcome to Plans in the News. I'm Susan Kennedy. Silver Spring resident Casey Anderson has been sworn in as the newest member of the Planning Board. He takes over for Joe Alfondre, who chose not to seek reappointment. Mr. Anderson has been a longtime civic activist who has worked on a wide variety of land use and transportation issues. Casey Anderson is no stranger in Montgomery planning circles. A Silver Spring resident, he has worked on the White Flint Sector Plan and the relocation of the Walter Reed Medical Center to Bethesda. Moreover, Casey has been active in his local civic association and served on the Silver Spring Regional Advisory Board, as well as directing the Washington Area Bicyclists Association. It's that commitment to this community and issues he cares about that prompted him to apply to the board.
There were a lot of issues I was interested in around Silver Spring and the county, and I realized that if I didn't do it, nobody else would. And I think it's like President Obama says, you know, we're the leaders we've been waiting for. And if you care about your community and you want to see change, then you have to be willing to step up and do something about it.
Anderson came to this area 10 years ago when downtown Silver Spring was in the midst of its redevelopment. As a lawyer and former journalist, he says he understands the need to get the word out about what's happening in the county.
You know, it's natural for people to be apprehensive about the things that are happening around them. It's not quite what they're used to. And I think that we need to articulate a vision of what this is going to look like when it's all done, and explain how it is that we think that we can make it work to everyone's advantage. That instead of being threatened by it or being run over by it, that we're going to make it work for us. And I want to be part of that. The relationship between bicycling and other parts of transportation.
There are those folks in the community who identify Casey Anderson with his role in the world of biking. It's that love that spiked his interest between land use and transportation planning. He says he believes society has become more accepting of bicyclists on the road, that they are more a part of the transportation scene today.
Well, I always tell people I don't ride a bike because I'm trying to save the world. I'm doing it because it's fun. And it's a form of transportation that works in a place like Silver Spring or Bethesda. Increasingly, I think it's going to work in places like Rockville, and when White Flint is redeveloped, it's going to make a lot more sense to walk or bike, or in some cases take transit, than it does to get in a car. Now, that's not going to work everywhere or for everyone, but I'd like to try to help open people's minds to that possibility, that maybe it might work for them too. If we continue to do a better job of expanding access to forms of transportation other than just getting your car and driving by yourself, I think more and more people are going to realize that that's something that's good for them. It's not just, you know, as I say, good for the environment or good for other reasons that affect other people, but it's something that can make their lives more convenient and more enjoyable.
Though he has participated in just a few planning board meetings as a member, one thing he is sure of is that citizen involvement plays a key role in the process of getting things done. He says despite the transparency of the planning process, more could be done to bring new folks into the fold.
I think that we have to constantly be thinking of new ways to engage with people. No one way is going to do it for everybody, so we have to go out and meet people where they are. And obviously people are busy and they have other things on their mind, so we have to not only give them opportunities that are convenient to participate, but also give them good reasons to get involved and explain to them what's at stake and how they could benefit, as well as what the risks to them are if they don't participate and they don't get involved.
With master plans like Chevy Chase Lake, Wheaton, and Tacoma Langley Crossroads on the table, Anderson says it's time to capitalize on the excitement generated by White Flint.
We need to figure out how we can build on the consensus, I think, that was formed around White Flint to find out how much of that can be applied to other parts of the county that are not as economically attractive to property owners, and figure out how to make those places work and how to revitalize them, how to attract businesses and residents, and try to bring some of that excitement to some of the other areas that the board is going to be working on and the council will take up over the next year or two.
Plan Maryland is the state's first comprehensive smart growth plan that looks at sustainable development over the next 20 years. Questions like where will people live and work and how will they get to their jobs are just some of the issues the plan addresses. Planning staff has looked at what the draft plan recommends for Montgomery County. In principle, they say the idea for a regional plan is a good one, but key components are missing.
Well, many of them we agree with. Areas such as Silver Spring certainly are areas where we would expect more growth to occur, but there's a lot of areas in the county that we were surprised weren't included. For example, White Flint and the Great Seneca Science Corridor are two master plans that we recently completed where we expect a lot of growth to occur. So we're a little bit shocked that those weren't included, and we hope to work with the state to include them.
Statistics show that over the next 20 years, there will be nearly 1 million more people in the state of Maryland. The effects this growth will have on existing communities, natural resources, and transportation systems is of primary concern. Planners say here in Montgomery County, they've been thinking this way for decades.
We established an agricultural reserve, which set aside about a third of the county for agricultural rural land, and we've been focusing our growth around transit stations, metro stations, and building from there.
We are the fifth most densely populated state in the nation, and we're still projected to grow by 1.1 million new Marylanders in the next 25 years. So whether you're interested in your community, your county, small towns, big towns, your local river, Chesapeake Bay, what have you, growing smart is essential.
Plan Maryland is expected to be delivered to the governor in October. In the meantime, officials say they are taking suggestions and refining the draft plan. For more information on Plan Maryland or to make suggestions, go to plan.maryland.gov.
Welcome back. With the coming of the Purple Line, the community of Long Branch in East Silver Spring will see some significant changes over the next decade. To prepare, planners are drafting a new land use plan for the area. Here's Valerie Burton with more.
The community of Long Branch can be found along Piney Branch Road, between Flower Avenue and University Boulevard. It's a multicultural place with a commercial center and varied housing options. An important neighborhood hub is this community center. It's where I met up with planner Jacob Sesker, who was tasked with developing a vision for the future Long Branch. We began with a look at the community's assets. Jacob, we're here at the Long Branch Community Center today. It's a busy day. Summer camps are in full swing. What can you tell us about how this community center fits in with the Long Branch community itself?
Well, the community center is one of many assets that the Long Branch community has. There's also a pool adjacent here and a library just across through the park. This is an area that is very well served by public facilities, and there are a lot of people who need and use those public facilities. This is an area where there's a high percentage of the residents live in multifamily housing, and a lot of those people need a lot of room. This community center and the parks in the neighborhood serve a very vital purpose in providing people with that backyard and living room that many of them don't have.
Okay. So Jacob, why are we doing this plan in Long Branch now?
We're doing this plan in anticipation of the Purple Line, which will be arriving sometime in about 10 or 15 years. This is one of a series of plans that we're doing in anticipation of the future Purple Line. The Purple Line will be the bi-county transit way connecting Bethesda ultimately to points in Prince George's County. There will be 2 stations in the Long Branch area, one at Arliss and Piney Branch and one at University and Piney Branch. Those stations will probably open sometime in the early 2020s. And the introduction of the Purple Line to this community could create a significant number of opportunities for this community as well as some challenges insofar as it'll affect rents. So one of the things that we're trying to do is to strengthen this community through our planning process and to build on all of the exciting stuff that's already happening here so that this community is better able to withstand those economic pressures when they occur.
He's referring to all the programs put in place since the last plan was approved in the year 2000. The county and local nonprofits have developed initiatives to support residents, many of whom are recent immigrants, don't speak English, and aren't familiar with their adopted home. One such initiative involves local business owners.
¿Cómo estás? Estoy en una entrevista.
Carlos Peroso opened ZP Tax in 2007. It's a tax preparation service that caters to the surrounding community.
The amazing thing of this community is how the diversity of the community. They come here asking for things, hey, help me with this. I've never done this. I have never applied for electricity in my life. I have never gone to a Social Security office. Can you help me with this DMV application? And I help them.
There are over 90 businesses in the Long Branch area. There are food markets, restaurants, and other services, most serving the community's basic needs. El Golfo is a Latin American restaurant that features jazz every Wednesday night. Owner and chef Ada Villatoro thinks music enhances the neighborhood.
It's fun. It's live. They're really good musicians, and the people who come and support them, it seems that they have, a good time.
Always working to improve, Villatoro joined other business owners to form a networking group.
I felt the need to form a group of business owners to work together to do something about the community. We felt that nobody was taking care of anything, like security was a big issue. That's how we all came together.
Carlos Peroso values the networking.
I like the fact that the diversity is not only on the people that walks on the streets, it's also on the business owners. The business owners are from all over the world. And we're becoming like a family with this Long Branch Business League.
In these tough economic times, there's a challenge to be a business owner in Long Branch, where the recession has hit even harder than most places in Montgomery County.
I think what makes us different here in this community is that we are working together with a nonprofit organization. We do fundraisers and we donate a lot of our profits to the organization. That's how people get to know a lot about El Golfo, and they feel the need to support us because we're supporting this community.
Supporting one another is one of Long Branch's unique strengths. Impact Silver Spring is a nonprofit group that seeks to support residents in very diverse communities. Staffer Sebastian Brown has been working with the residents of Long Branch since 2008.
We came together with the county and heard their need for really trying to do more outreach to the community to tell them about the services that are available for folks who are really struggling. And so we went out and we knocked on 10,000 doors. And we heard, I think like most people had already known, there's amazingly high unemployment. People are afraid of crime. People have low literacy. A lot of folks don't have papers. People are afraid to leave their houses. But what we also heard, I think was the really kind of inspiring thing, was that people have so much to offer. And they're amazing gifts that people are just waiting to be able to offer to each other. And so what we've done in the last couple of years is trying to tap into those and create kind of a network where folks can fully contribute to kind of making this most thriving Long Branch possible for everyone.
Sebastian introduced me to Alicia Lopez, whose idea for bringing women together for mutual support has blossomed. She started the Long Branch Women's Sewing Circle, which meets regularly in the basement of the Cyber Cafe. Like the name implies, they sew together. Their products are on display at the Fenton Street Market. But, as Alicia explains, the value of the group goes beyond sewing.
Y algo malo que queremos contar que no nos gusta o nos gusta.
We are getting together as women to be able to have a kind of a safe space to be able to share. So at every meeting, we start off with saying one great thing that's happened to you in the week and something that you're struggling with, and then we spend about 20 minutes trying to brainstorm ways to help each other. And so sometimes if people are almost going to be evicted or need help with childcare, we kind of talk as a group through those things together. And so you start to also feel like you're not alone, that you have a group of people who are kind of going through similar things as you.
One, two, three.
Another program nurtured by Impact Silver Spring is the Long Branch Athletic Association. Originally intended to help underserved youth connect to sports, the program has expanded to engage entire families.
All right, so here's what we need to do.
Chris Wilhelm of Impact Silver Spring explains.
I think it's really important for the parents to be involved because it just gives them another avenue to be connected with their kids, to be connected with other parents, and to be connected with just kind of the social and kind of the social infrastructure of the county. Because you see parents in other parts of the county are really, really engaged with their teams, with the schools, and with other kind of things that pop up just in civic life in general. And so this just gives a great doorway for parents to be involved with their kids and everything else that's going on in the community.
Armando Hernandez coaches 3rd and 4th graders. From El Salvador, he was looking to put his soccer coaching skills to work when he became acquainted with Impact Silver Spring. Now, he not only coaches the kids twice a week, but involves their parents as well.
One really important thing is it helps in the development of the kids, so to be able to avoid having them fall into kind of some of the constant threats around drug addiction and other kind of issues that plague this community. When the parents are more involved, it shows other kind of positive alternatives to those kind of worst things. And so most fundamentally it's about the education of the kids, and they have to be involved because no one can educate their kids better than the parents themselves.
Parent Julio Hernandez comes to every practice.
My thing is to be enjoying with my son to be a player because that's good for the future when he can grow up, be a nice boy and don't be in the street and, don't waste the time out. Right here it's a good thing to do it for him. We have all kind of friends, every time when I see them in the street or on the mall, they say, hey, how you doing, how you doing, and stuff like that. But, that's a good thing.
Programs like these, ones that build on the community's assets, will help inform planners creating an improved vision for Long Branch, featuring the coming of the Purple Line.
The fortunate thing for us is that we have about 10 or 15 years to figure out how to best take advantage of the opportunities presented by the Purple Line to make this a better, stronger Long Branch moving forward.
It's hot outside, but what's really hot is the Tacoma Langley Crossroads Sector Plan, and we're going to talk about it with Planning Director Roland Stanley next on Around Town. Okay, Roland, here we are at the crossroads of Tacoma Langley, where this sector plan is going to breathe new life into this part of the county. Tell us a little bit about why we're looking at this area now.
Well, there's a great illustration behind us. 2 main roads crossing, lots of car traffic, lots of retail activity, an area where the demographics have changed over the last 10 years. And we have a lot of pedestrians here. We're just over on the other side of the street. You'll see kids and everybody walking through here. And when you start to look at where the county can grow, this is one of the areas where we have large chunks of land. The key is to get in on the ground floor before things start to change, to help direct that change to achieve a broader vision of a different kind of place. And how do we make that happen? That's what this plan's about.
Now, one of the major things that a key to this plan is the transit center. So we are on our way across the street. We're walking across University Boulevard over to this Taco Bell here, and that's the future site of the transit center. Why is the transit center such a critical component to the long-term plan?
That's a good question. We have come up with a plan that addresses how this area can evolve before the Purple Line gets here, and then what we achieve during those times will roll into the longer-term vision of when the Purple Line arrives. In the long-term sense, we've got a lot of folks in this area who we would like to see taking transit to the jobs around the county. And one of the biggest challenges to Montgomery County is being able to connect people to the jobs. You will always see people lined up to get on the buses because there's great bus access here to take people in different directions. What we're looking for with the Purple Line is to make those longer connections in a certain way to the job centers of Silver Spring, Prince George's County, as well as Bethesda. We need to give these folks the opportunities for alternatives of how to get to work at a more efficient way, a more efficient cost. That's better for all of us.
Okay, let's go over and talk a little bit about the Walgreens that's been built here in this area and the use of that space there. We're standing on the property of the Walgreens here on University Boulevard that's been recently renovated. What are the challenges with development like this when you're looking at redevelopment?
Right. Well, first off, it was great to have Walgreens redeveloped. They bring something to the community. It's a much better building than what they had, and it could be more if the building was not so far back from the street, but if you could pick it up and drop it over here about where the yellow posts are, be at grade, and we get that wonderful connection to the sidewalk, which does not exist.
The sidewalk situation, we've been seeing folks drive by, cars pulling out of the Walgreens, not stopping. This is a safety issue.
This is a real safety issue. In fact, you can see what happened to the stop sign on the other side. And here's a gentleman on his bike. I don't blame him for not being on the street. I wouldn't either. But look how narrow the sidewalk is for the kind of pedestrian traffic we actually get going through here in busier times. And look, the sidewalk disappears crossing these entry points, and that's one of the big challenges to what these parcels are. One of the things we put in the CR zone is, once it's in place, a developer like the Walgreens Plaza here could dedicate the right-of-way in front of their property that we need to create the street width for the Purple Line. We don't want to have to come back 5 years from now and start buying that. That's a lot of money. But if the property owners could convey that land to us now and in exchange get some building floor area back, and like we're seeing in White Flint, they will take advantage of that, and it makes the Purple Line more feasible. Tacoma Langley is about creating a better environment. You're sitting at a bench, you got a 3-lane road and a 6-lane road in front of you. We need to change the perception here a little bit and get away from letting the cars and how fast they're moving change what we really think should be going on. And that means maybe pedestrians should be moved up the priority list, and this is a good example.
Let's talk a little bit about a few weeks ago. There was a forum that we held here in Tacoma Langley where we brought in some new players to get some ideas going on how to get this thing moving. What did you hear?
It was a great event because this isn't just about Montgomery County. This is about Tacoma Langley, and that means both sides of these streets. The Tacoma Langley neighborhood. We can be great. Thank you. And that's the first time we've started to have those kinds of conversations.
Thanks, Roland. Lots of great information. That wraps up this Around Town segment, and maybe we'll be back again next time in your neighborhood.
Finding ways to construct truly sustainable buildings helps lower our imprint on the environment. There are many approaches to incorporate green elements into a structure. Developers of an East County office site took a whole building approach to going green.
My name is Shane Poland. I'm Director of Development of the Duffy Companies, and we're at 10,001 New Hampshire Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland, Montgomery County. This building is actually LEED certified gold. So what that means is that this building is built to a higher than code standard. And as we walk through the building, I can point out several of the elements that we've incorporated into the building to make it an environmentally safe and friendly and productive work environment. Part of making the building a nice place to work was to bring as much sunlight as possible into the core of the building, and we accomplished that by using glass. All the perimeter offices feature this glass pane to help the light come into the core of the building. One of the design considerations was our proximity to the Capitol Beltway and all of its lanes of traffic. We're quite close to the Beltway, but we didn't want that fact to interfere with people's ability to work within the building. What that meant was that we need to attenuate sound. We did that using several techniques. One of them is that we used laminated glass on the south side of the building, whereas a traditional office building might have 2 panes of glass. This building actually has 3 panes of glass to the south. We also used open cell foam as a means of attenuating sound within the building. Open cell foam is both a good insulator, but it's also excellent for sound attenuation. And so that open cell foam is behind this portion of the wall around the entire building. So some of the elements of the LEED design make their way into the restrooms. One example of that is savings of water. So one of the elements that we have is dual flush lavatories. There's an indicator on the lavatory itself, up flush for liquids, down flush for everything else. The urinals in 10,001 in the men's rooms are actually 1 pint per flush, as opposed to a traditional urine, which might flush at more like a capacity of 1 gallon. These are high-speed hand dryers that actually get the job done without the use of paper. Occupancy sensors allows the lights to turn off when the restrooms are not occupied, again saving energy. 10,001 also features Kone EcoSpace elevators. This is a special type of elevator that uses a proprietary technology. It saves about 70% on electricity versus a hydraulic elevator. It also is part of the whole building approach. By incorporating an energy efficient elevator, we were allowed to downsize the electric equipment in the building and also use a smaller generator. Another feature of the building's energy saving strategy was to occupancy sense part of the stairwell. So these stairwells are not regularly occupied space. They have to have lights on for safety, but they don't need to have all of their fixtures on. So what you'll notice here is that as we enter the stairwell, the occupancy sensor will sense movement and turn the light on. Our consideration of functionality and the use of the building extended all the way to the roof. We have a full set of stairs, an extra large hatch with extra insulation. Another element of having an energy efficient building is to have a very efficient thermal envelope. That means great insulation. The roof of this building features spray polyurethane foam. This foam then has a white top coat on it to help keep the building cooler in the summer and also to reduce that heat island effect. Another feature is a high-performance, high-speed door that allows us to achieve a pedestrian secure environment on the garage level. And also the garage features the energy-efficient lighting control system. It leaves large portions of the garage dark until the garage senses occupancy and then turns on, but only in the areas where it needs to be occupied. As you can see, the remainder of the garage remains dark. Other things outside the building that are elements of a LEED design, selecting drought-tolerant species. So we don't need to use a lot of water to irrigate this site. It's also about efficiency in transportation, for example. And so there are points that can be earned for offering preferred parking spaces for low-emitting and fuel-efficient vehicles. There are also spaces provided on the site for carpool and vanpool. It's also about reducing an element called the heat island effect. The heat island effect is the concept that in big cities with lots of blacktop, that blacktop heats up. It can actually raise the temperature of entire cities. So what we do is pay attention when we're designing the site to try to use highly reflective materials. So in this case, it's a combination of concrete as opposed to asphalt in areas where we can. So again, trying to take a whole building approach to make an environmentally friendly building.
Well, that does it for this edition of Montgomery Plans. Join us again next time when we bring you more on the issues that affect quality of life here in Montgomery County. I'm Michael Brown. Thanks for watching.